They say trust is the foundation of any marriage. I believed that for 8 years, trusted Elena with my life, my kids, my everything. Yet here I am, left to pick through the shattered pieces of a life I thought I knew. Our story didn't begin with loud arguments or clear betrayals. It started with a simple conversation that twisted into something I never could have imagined. One night as we lay in bed, Elena turned toward me with a look I had come to dread. She cleared her throat softly. Anthony, she began hesitantly, her voice trembling with uncertainty. The neighbors, Richard and Malia, they invited us to a party this weekend. Oh, did they? I said distractedly, scrolling through my phone. She paused as if weighing every word carefully. Yeah, but it's not your usual party. I glanced up, sensing something was off. What kind of party? Her next words hit me like a punch to the gut. A swingers party. I laughed, thinking she was joking, but her face stayed serious. You can't be serious, I said, sitting up abruptly. Why not? She shot back. We've been stuck in a rut, Anthony. Don't you think it could be fun? I blinked, struggling to process the suggestion. Elena, are you hearing yourself? You're talking about sleeping with other people. She crossed her arms, frustration flickering in her eyes. It's not like it means anything. It's just for fun. Richard and Malia swear it's brought them closer. I don't care about Richard and Malia, I snapped. I'm not interested. End of discussion. But it wasn't the end. Over the next few days, Elena kept bringing it up. She cornered me whenever I was unloading the dishwasher, scrolling through my phone, or watching TV. Think about it, Anthony, she pleaded one night. That's all I'm asking. My resistance only seemed to make her more determined. By Thursday, she dropped any pretense of compromise. I'm going, she announced sharply as I was tucking Lena into bed. Her tone was defiant, like a challenge. I followed her into the living room, closing the door behind me. You're going? Yes? Why don't you just come too? It'll be fun, she said, almost daring me. What about Lena and Martin? I asked, my voice barely steady. We'll hire a babysitter. It's not a big deal, she replied, brushing past me. It is a big deal to me, I shot back, my voice rising. You really think this is okay? That this insanity is good for our relationship? Yes, I do, she snapped, turning to face me. You're so uptight, Anthony. It's just one night, and if you weren't so closed-minded, maybe you'd come too. Maybe it would help us. Help us how? By watching you with another man? I couldn't keep the disbelief from my voice. She rolled her eyes. Don't be so dramatic. My heart pounded as every word landed like a hammer blow. Finally, I said the words that had been weighing on me all week. I'm not going, Elena. If you go, we're done. I'll file for divorce. Her lips parted in surprise, but instead of backing down, she doubled down. You'd throw away our marriage over one night? That's pathetic. No, I said firmly. You're the one throwing it away just by even considering this. She scoffed, shaking her head as if I were the unreasonable one. I said nothing, letting the silence stretch between us as my mind raced. Divorce. The word had lingered at the back of my thoughts since this whole mess began. But now it was clear. It wasn't a matter of if, but when. What was left to save? The woman in front of me wasn't the Elena I married. She was someone I barely recognized. As I sat there weighing my options, she broke the silence. Her tone almost teasing. Oh, come on, Anthony, it'll be fun. If you're so uptight about it, I can record it for you. That way you'll see it's not a big deal. Her words hit me like a slap. You'd what? I asked, my voice trembling. I'll record it, she repeated casually, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. You can see for yourself. Maybe it'll even turn you on. I was too stunned to respond at first. What kind of person even says something like that? But then amid the shock and anger, a cold, calculating thought crept into my mind. This could work. If she was foolish enough to record herself cheating, it would be perfect evidence. It wouldn't just confirm her betrayal. It would leave no room for denial. The courts would side with me. She'd lose the house, the kids, everything. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. She didn't need to know what I was thinking. Not yet. Oh, fine. Whatever, I said finally, keeping my tone neutral. If that's what you want to do, go ahead. Her eyes narrowed suspiciously. Just like that? What happened to all the yelling and threats of divorce? I shrugged, feigning indifference. If it's such a big deal to you, do whatever you want. Go record it. If that's what makes you feel better, I won't stop you. She stared at me, her expression unreadable, then nodded slowly. Fine, I'll go. Don't worry about me, Anthony. I'll have fun without you. I didn't bother responding as she walked out of the room. A strange sense of calm settled over me. That night, lying in bed, her words echoed in my mind. Record the whole thing. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Not only was she eager to sleep with another man, but she had the audacity to suggest recording it, like it was some casual, harmless favor. If Elena was so eager to throw away our marriage for a night of so-called fun, I'd make sure she owned every consequence of that decision. The night of the party, Elena was practically glowing as she got ready. She wore a black dress that clung to her figure, paired with heels she hadn't touched in years. She barely looked at me as she grabbed her purse. I'll be back late, she said, heading for the door. Don't forget your camera, I muttered, unable to resist the jab. She shot me a glare but said nothing. Then she was gone. As soon as the door closed, I sprang into action. I called my mom and explained the situation in vague terms, asking if she could take Lena and Martin for the weekend. Thankfully, she didn't ask too many questions. I packed the kids' bags and dropped them off at her house within the hour. Back at home, I poured myself a stiff drink and sat in silence, imagining what Elena was doing. Anger and betrayal churned in my gut, but I forced myself to stay calm. This was temporary. Tomorrow I'd have the proof I needed, and I'd start cutting her out of my life. The next morning, Elena strolled into the house around 10 a.m., looking smug despite her disheveled appearance. Her hair was messy, makeup smudged, and her dress wrinkled from a long night at the neighbors. There was a satisfied, almost victorious look in her eyes that turned my stomach. She dropped her purse on the counter and leaned against it, grinning at me like she hadn't just destroyed our marriage. Well, she asked, cocking an eyebrow. I looked at her, my expression flat. Well, what? She smirked and pulled her phone from her bag. I recorded it, just like I said I would, she said, holding it up like a trophy. All the proof you need that it wasn't a big deal. Go ahead, take a look. Her tone, her attitude, the sheer casualness of it, made my blood boil. I didn't trust myself to speak. Without a word, I grabbed the phone from her hand and walked toward the stairs. As I turned to leave, she called after me, glancing around the quiet house. Wait, where are the kids? They're with my mom, I said, not bothering to stop or turn around. Thought it would be best for them to see you come stumbling in like this. Her mouth opened slightly, but she quickly recovered, rolling her eyes. God, you're so dramatic. It's not like they'd even notice. I didn't respond. I climbed the stairs, my jaw clenched so tight it hurt. In the privacy of our bedroom, I plugged her phone into my laptop and began transferring the files. My hands trembled as I opened the folder. The weight of what I was about to watch, a heavy weight pressing down on me. Part of me still clung to a desperate hope. Maybe this wasn't real. Maybe it was some twisted, misguided joke. But as the videos loaded and I started clicking through them, that hope shattered completely. Each clip was worse than the last. The laughter, the closeness, the utter disregard for me and the life we had built. It was all there, raw and exposed. By the time I finished, I felt hollow, emptied of everything. The last shred of doubt was gone. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a cruel mockery of everything we had shared. Yet amid the pain, there was clarity. This was it. This was the end. I copied the files onto a secure drive, making sure I had every piece of evidence I would need. Then with a steadying breath, I walked back downstairs. Elena sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened. I held out her phone, and she took it with a smug smile. Clearly misreading my expression. I hope it was worth it, I said quietly, my voice cold and low. Her smile faltered, confusion flashing across her face. What's that supposed to mean? You'll find out soon enough, I said, turning away. I didn't stay to watch her reaction. I couldn't. Instead, I went to the kitchen, poured myself another drink, and sat at the table staring blankly at the wall. My mind was already racing. Tomorrow I'd call a lawyer. Tomorrow I'd start taking my life back. The next morning I made the call. By the end of the week I had met with the lawyer, reviewed my options, and filed the divorce papers. The videos Elena had so smugly provided gave me the upper hand, ensuring I had the evidence to secure custody of the kids and a favorable financial settlement. But Elena, as usual, didn't take it seriously at first. "You're being ridiculous, Anthony," she said when I served her the papers. "This is just a knee-jerk reaction. You'll calm down." "No, Elena," I replied, my voice steady. "This is me being done." The kids were already staying at my mom's house, so I packed a few things and joined them. Away from Elena, away from the mess. It felt like the only safe place for all of us, where we could finally breathe. But as the days passed, it became clear Elena wasn't ready to accept the reality of what she had done. Her confidence wavered, and she started calling me at odd hours, pleading with me to reconsider. One evening, she showed up at my mom's house, desperate to see the kids. "Let me in, Anthony," she begged, tears streaming down her face. "I made a mistake, okay? I was trying to fix things, not break them." "You broke them the moment you walked out that door, man," I said, blocking her path. "Now leave." The divorce process was brutal, as I expected, but the videos were a game changer. Elena's lawyer tried to argue the swinger party had been consensual and mutually agreed upon, but my lawyer shut that down quickly. In the end, the judge ruled in my favor. I got full custody of Lena and Ben. Elena walked away with a fraction of what she had hoped for. After the divorce, I moved into a small apartment, starting fresh. Elena, on the other hand, stayed in the house we'd shared. But it wasn't the home she had once dreamed of. The place had lost its warmth, and she'd lost much of the life we had built there. Months later, I ran into Richard, the neighbor who hosted the party. We crossed paths at a local store. He looked uncomfortable as we made small talk, avoiding my gaze. "Listen," he said finally, shifting nervously. "I didn't know Elena would, go that far." I raised an eyebrow. "What are you talking about?" He hesitated, then sighed. "She didn't just sleep with one guy. She slept with three." I stared at him, my stomach turning. "Three?" I echoed, barely above a whisper. He nodded. "I thought you should know. I'm sorry, man." I walked away without another word, my mind racing. I thought I knew the extent of her betrayal, but this was something else entirely. Looking back, I'm grateful for one thing. I found out who Elena really was before wasting any more years on her. It wasn't easy rebuilding my life, but I did it, for me and for my kids. As for Elena, last I heard she was still living in our old neighborhood, but her reputation was in ruins. It seems sleeping with half the party isn't exactly the best way to keep friends. Thank you for watching.